If home is where the heart is, a roof is its shield. That's why for nearly 30 years, homeowners have trusted Garcia Roofing. For more information, visit garciadidmyroof.com.
Secure your home with Storm Impact Windows, reliefwindows.com.
Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We are here today to discuss the shooting incident that occurred at Port Allen High School Friday night, September 1st. Standing with me is Sheriff Mike Kaz, Chief of Staff Kevin Duvall, 18th JDC District Attorney Tony Clayton, West Baton Rouge Parish School Board Superintendent Dr. Chandler Smith, and the detectives who have worked on this case. This is an ongoing investigation. Therefore, details are limited at this time, and some things we will not be at liberty to discuss. On behalf of the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, we want to extend our deepest condolences to those affected by this tragedy, including family, friends, classmates, as well as the community as a whole. Before I get into the timeline of the events, I'm going to list the persons and their charges that were arrested. Starting with Mr. Jerriton Jackson II. He is a black male, 18 years old. He was charged with second-degree murder, attempted second-degree murder, carrying a firearm on school property in the firearm-free zone, and possession of a machine gun. And I will explain that later on during the timeline. Also arrested is Jalen Smith, a black male, 18 years old. He was charged with obstruction of justice, manslaughter, disturbing the peace by fistic encounter. Additionally, 2 juveniles were arrested. Juvenile 1, manslaughter and disturbing the peace by fistic encounter. Juvenile 2, obstruction of justice. These juveniles are currently being held in juvenile facilities across the state. These are the timeline of events, again, that occurred at Port Allen High School Friday evening. September 1st, Port Allen High School versus Bruley High School was having their 52nd annual Sugarcane Classic football game. Shortly after 8:30 p.m., shots were fired during halftime. It is believed that an altercation at halftime led to the shooting. Multiple law enforcement officers, including those who were off duty attending the game, responded and began quickly canvassing the area, as well as attempting to identify suspects and witnesses. 2 victims were located near the concession stand area. Mr. Jacoby Queen, a 15-year-old black male from Bruley High School. He was transported to a local hospital where he succumbed to his injuries. Ms. Brazia Davis, a 28-year-old female, was wounded. She was also transported to a local hospital. The crime scene was established, and crime scene was processed by the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab. The items located at this crime scene was 1 handgun that had been modified, as well as casings. At this time, the handgun has not been reported stolen. This is pending an ATF trace, which would provide us the original purchaser of that handgun. Detectives immediately began working diligently to gather information and preliminary facts that could assist in this investigation. On Sunday, September 3rd, detectives were able to obtain a probable cause arrest warrant for Jerriton Jackson II for his involvement in the shooting. On Monday, September 4th, detectives received credible information about the location of Jackson, and he was located and arrested at an address on Greencrest Drive in Baton Rouge. This arrest was made with the help of the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office, SWAT. Jackson was booked into the East Baton Rouge Parish Prison as a fugitive and immediately transferred to West Baton Rouge Parish, where he was booked on the mentioned charges. This is an active investigation. Anyone who has video and or pictures is still encouraged to use the QR code and the link provided to the media where they can submit that information that they may have. Moving forward, the West Baton Rouge Sheriff's Office is working with the West Baton Rouge Parish School Board, providing suggestions and recommendations to their safety protocols. Thank you. I'll turn it over to Chief of Staff Kevin Duvall.
Thank you. First of all, we'd like to thank the community for coming forward and providing information with this investigation. Community involvement is paramount. Make no mistake about it, because members of the community had the courage to come forward and provide us with certain information, enabled our detectives to move quickly and identify the persons involved in this shooting, which ultimately led to a quick conclusion. Sheriff Kaz and I would like to also personally thank the men and women of the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office who worked tirelessly over the weekend to bring the community and the family some closure. Many of them who are standing here today worked 40 to 50 hours straight without any sleep. They'd go home and catch a quick nap, come right back to work. It shows their commitment is unwavering to this community. We'd also like to thank the Port Allen City Police Department, the Louisiana State Police Crime Lab, the District Attorney's Office, the West Baton Rouge Parish School System, the U.S. Marshal Service, and the East Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office for their support and assistance. We can assure the community that based upon information that we know right now, we believe all parties involved in the shooting, we've arrested them. Furthermore, this behavior will not be tolerated. We will not allow a small segment of our community to threaten the well-being of our entire community. Sheriff Kaz has directed his staff to work with our local partners, the District Attorney's Office, to target individuals who are involved in criminal activity in this parish. All resources of the West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's Office are directed at these groups. These efforts are being implemented as we speak. Again, we cannot thank the community enough for their involvement and support during this investigation. At this time, I'd like to turn it over to District Attorney Tony Clayton.
I want to begin with thanking Sheriff Mike Cass and his detectives. I want to tell you they put forth a gallant effort to make sure that these perpetrators were brought to justice. They did that, and I commend those men and women for that. But on behalf of the District Attorney's Office, I'll tell you that Chief Duvall and the rest of us are monitoring social media. We're looking for any type of threats or any type of messages, subliminal, however they may be, and we're acting on it. And I'll say to you that this District Attorney's Office, when I receive the cases from them, we can care less about your race, your ethnicity, your nationality. We will not tolerate this type of behavior. Any individual, no matter how old he or she may be, taking upon themselves to anoint themselves God and suck the life out of somebody else's child will forfeit their right to walk around in society as a free person. I say that, and I say that with all sincerity. These men and women put themselves out there every day. And over here, we're just not going to tolerate it. We encourage our community to go to these football games, support these local high schools. We've been in constant contact with Dr. Smith, very cooperative. And I'll say that the people of this parish should enjoy their high school football games because we're out there and we're watching it. And lastly, to the parents of these children who so-called want to be gang members, we are monitoring everything. And you should monitor your own children. If he or she leaves the home dressed in an inappropriate way with guns on them, then you should be held accountable because parents ought to be able to watch that. And if not, I know some of them have to work hard and hold 9 yards, but we are not taking this lightly when these kids do what they're doing. Enough already. Thank you. I turn it over to the, pass it to the sheriff.
Thank you, Tony. It's been a long weekend. This child should have never died. The kid was going to get a cold drink at a concession stand, and a thug decided to end his life. There's one thing about a little small community that I've been chief law enforcement over for 40 years. We small, we united, and we together. The community came together, and that's why we have won the battle and put this guy behind bars. Separate, without the community, we would have never got this kid off the streets. Within 48 hours of him committing murder, cold-blooded murder, didn't ask him, just took him. I'm proud of the men and women that worked tireless hours around a Memorial Day weekend to close out the case. Again, West Baton Rouge, we're doing everything with Dr. Smith, the school board, the district attorney, and the chiefs of police that we will have safe football games to where children, my grandchildren, your grandchildren, can go and relax and enjoy a football game like I did when I was a child. Thank you all. Dr. Smith.
First game of high school football season, normally a time of fun and excitement, was shattered by the violence of a shooting at our annual Port Allen High versus Bruley High School game on September 1st. We are happy that arrests have been made and thank our law enforcement agencies for their diligence in pursuing this case. We have been assured by District Attorney Tony Clayton that this case will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. Thank you. We had an increased law enforcement presence at our high schools today, and that will continue for the foreseeable future. We also will be providing emotional and mental health support for our students and staff who are struggling with this tragedy. I also want to thank Iberville Parish Schools for providing additional social workers for us today. That was tremendous support. Thank you. In addition, we are taking other steps to assure parents that our schools, games, and activities are safe. Our schools are safe. This includes requiring all those entering games and events to be scanned, limiting entry points to only those where scanners are provided, and increasing our law enforcement presence at all games and events. We also are redoubling our efforts to provide students with interpersonal coping skills and are initiating discussions with other agencies, leaders, and WBR organizations to work on activities and initiatives to help students recognize that violence is never the answer. We will not tolerate violence in our schools or our school events. Let me say that again. We will not tolerate violence in our schools or our school events. This senseless tragedy has impacted our entire community, and while it happened at a school event, it had nothing to do with either of our schools. It is the result of young people resorting to guns and violence as their response to difficulties in their lives and disputes with others. Our West Baton Rouge community is close and strong. It is my hope that our parents and our community will support our efforts, and we can all unite to show our young people that education, not the use of violence, provides them with a bright future. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes. So we've been told now that there was no ambulance at the game, ahead of time. Is this like not a policy for you guys, or was there one?
We partner with Ochsner, so Ochsner actually is on the sidelines. We used to use Acadian Ambulance. Now we partner with Ochsner. They were present at the games.
I know it was said that an altercation did happen between Queen and Jackson. Did the two, the suspect and the victim, did they know each other before the game, or is this kind of like a situation that happened at the game that they just ran into each other?
They knew each other. There was an altercation that happened right before the shooting, but we're not at liberty to discuss that right now. This case is being turned over to the district attorney's office, and we don't want to say anything or do anything that's going to impede the district attorney's office from prosecuting this case to the fullest extent.
The woman that was also shot to as well, did she know?
She was an innocent bystander.
Okay.
And Tony did say you guys are monitoring social media, and I've heard that it actually did stem from that. Do you want to comment further on that?
You know, I don't want to impede these folks over there. These detectives are looking out for the best interests of the citizens of this parish. And I can leave it at that. And I'll tell you, those are strict orders from Sheriff Cass, and that if they're out there on their social media and they're gang whispering, for lack of a better way of putting it, then we will be on top of it. And as a matter of fact, last night, I think they made an arrest of a young man who was putting threats out there. So they're monitoring their activity. And once again, I make this plea, and I think Chief Duvall may join in with me. The parents, monitor your kids' social media, monitor their behavior, look in their rooms. If they got guns, I'm telling you, these folks are coming. They're coming. And this DA's office is behind them 1,000,000%. I believe in their cases. I believe in their work. I know them. I live in the community with them, and I support them. And so this message is not for the good people out there, but those folks out there that want to be in this so-called gang world, we got something for you.
I will reiterate what the district attorney has said. We are having a meeting today with the chiefs of police in this parish. We are forming a task force, and if you are involved in criminal activity, if you're involved in a gang, get ready, because you will be a West Baton Rouge Parish Sheriff's deputy or detective will be knocking on your door shortly. We're not going to tolerate that behavior in this parish. It's not going to be tolerated.
I want to
Okay?
add to that. Chief Duvall and I, it's a form of organized crime, and we got a little saying. When they go low, we go in RICO. So we plan on putting together an organized effort with them with their organized criminal behavior, and everybody who aids and abets in it will be just as guilty as principals. So any one of you, if you want to team up with 5 of your buddies and go fight somebody, and somebody pulls a gun out, all of you will be prosecuted. As you've heard Chief Duvall state earlier in the media consultant, state that some of them, the peripheral guys, are charged with manslaughter. That carries up to 40 years in prison. That is because they were involved in this fight. So when you go there with a group of them and you surround some guy, can't get away, you all are just as guilty.
And D.A. Clayton, I know you had some real strong words when you spoke to my coworker yesterday about holding this shooter responsible legally. Can you explain and expound on that?
I'll tell you what I told the reporter yesterday, that, and basically what I told you today, that you have a kid, and the sheriff and I talk about this all the time, you got a dead kid, and then you got another kid that he will be fully prosecuted, and he will be prosecuted where the penalty, if convicted, calls for him to die in Angola. So in essence, you just got 2 lives thrown away, plus the peripheral folks, the little gang members who want to participate. I'll go again. Duvall and I meet on a regular basis, going through this stuff and looking at it. We're like Santa Claus. Well, he's more like Santa Claus. We made a list, and he checks it twice. So you on that list, we're watching you. So if you think you're going to come over here and intimidate law enforcement, you got another thing coming, because we will fight to protect the sanctity of these folks. Sheriff Cass put it perfectly when he said he enjoyed high school football games over here, just like everyone else grew up. And that's folks with their children out there playing and bullets flying through there, not on our watch.
What is the spelling of the 18-year-old suspect?
We'll provide that to y'all right after the news conference.
One thing I do want to thank, and from the bottom of my heart, Cox was a tremendous, successful help in this case. Cox Communication provided us with so much video that made our job so much easier, so much quicker, because of the coverage that they made at this one game. So my thanks go out to Cox Communication. Thank y'all.
Any more questions?
I do have one more. How many officers were there that night, and going forward, what is scanning? Metal detectors?
We had over
Go through your
25.
purse?
We're meeting with the superintendent. We will have, that game I'd had double security. I had over 25 people on the ground. I had my mounted patrol out there, that was 10. And when the trial comes, we can't tell you the video. I mean, I can't put it out because it's evidence. They had 6 deputies behind this guy when he pulled the gun out. So we can be 100 to 10. In your mind, when you're ready to kill, you're going to kill. They don't care who's standing behind you. Because this guy shot with 6 policemen standing behind him.
The suspect Jackson and the other 2 juveniles, by chance, were they students within the district?
I can't answer that. Jackson's not, huh?
Jackson's not a student in the district.
Jackson, he,
Where are they from? You know, from Port Allen, or?
I don't know his family history.
I think Jackson was in West Baton Rouge, and from what I'm being told, he was expelled a couple of years ago, and was going to school in East Baton Rouge. Now, I don't know the other 2 juveniles. I can't answer for them.
And one last question. I know the word gang has been used a lot within this. Do you all believe that this entire situation was tied to some sort of gang involvement or gang activity?
I made that statement, and I do. And because I look at the pattern, as I told you, I'm in constant communication with my partners in law enforcement. And so that's on me. And when I see 1 or more folks, young folks that come together for a common cause, their own common cause, that I'm particularly if it's nefarious in nature, that I'm deeming that gang activity. And so there's statutes on the book to prepare us for it, and that's where we are. And I agree with what the sheriff said, young lady. We can't stop you if you want to just go out there and sneak around and shoot somebody. But what we can do is put a chilling effect on your future. You will lose your freedom as a result of it. So you can choose whatever path you want to take. But Mike has, and his boys and ladies will make sure that
You want to play, we'll play.
you want to play, you heard it, they'll play. So that's what you see. This one incident here has drawn the attention of plethora. You only see part of it. You don't see the infrastructure that Sheriff Cass and Duvall got behind this building working. They're on computers. The United States Marshal was involved. We had law enforcement all over the place involved. And this was a community effort of law enforcement to catch this young man in this short period of time.
One last thing I would like to reiterate. Parents, know where your children are at, know what your children are doing, and if you are allowing them to be involved in criminal activity, and you know it, and you're not putting a stop to it, you will take a ride just like your child. We're not going to have this, and I cannot stress this enough, okay? Thank y'all for y'all's time, and this ends the press conference.